Hi, welcome to Viola da Gamba tutorial number 8. This time we're going to be looking at producing dynamic variation on the viol. One of the earliest and most useful pieces of information I was taught when I first started learning the viol was to make really a lot of use out of the quiet end of the viol's dynamic spectrum. And this, my teacher said, is because the viol can't play as loudly as a violin or a cello. And so in order to give the impression of a wide dynamic range, we have to make the louds seem louder by using much more of the quiet colour of the viol, playing really, really quietly on the viol. And that's something that the viol is very, very good at. But how do we do that? Well, there are three different techniques or methods for creating dynamic contrast. There are three things that we can do. The first of those is the point, the distance from the bridge at which we place the bow. The second is the speed of the bow. And the third is the weight or the pressure that we apply to the string through the hair of the bow. And these three things are all very closely connected. You can't really do one thing without having to adjust another. So perhaps the most fundamental of the three techniques is pressure. That's the thing that we immediately think of. Well, if we want to play loud, we've got to really dig into the string, and if we want to play quiet, well, we just don't apply as much weight. But we've already looked at the fact that in the earlier videos that if you apply too much weight, you can't get the string to sound. And even if you apply less weight, but you apply it all the way along the string, then we produce a sound that is perhaps not what we want. It's a very tight and unpleasant sound. This is where we have to start considering the variation in these three methods. If we play close to the bridge, we can produce an intense sound, and in fact we have no choice but to play an intense sound, because in order to make the string move close to the bridge, we have to apply more weight to the hair and the string and play more slowly. If I try to move the bow quicker, then this happens. And if I try to move the bow slowly but with not much weight, then this happens. So we have to, the closer we get to the bridge, the more limited we are in how we can make the string move. Of course, that's not to say that we don't ever want to do that. We may want to produce a particularly intense sound. I'm thinking, for example, of the tombeau by Marin Marais and various modern pieces that you might come across. On the other hand, if we play a long way from the bridge, if we use the same techniques to play loud or to get a good sound as we use at the bridge, then we have the opposite problem. So if I use a slow bow and lots of weight, the string won't sound at all. And in fact, I hit the strings opposite on either side. This is because at the bridge, the string is under much more tension, and so we need more force to make it move. Whereas further away from the bridge, the string is much looser, more easily moved. So in fact, the way to play further away from the bridge is by using a little bit more bow speed and less weight. And unlike the intensity that we get playing near the bridge, if we play further away from the bridge, then we get a really lovely brushed, very quiet sound. So we already have two tools there to create two very, very different dynamics, but also two very different tone colours. We've got the quiet, brushed sound further away from the bridge and the loud, intense sound near the bridge. We can vary this, however, certainly further away from the bridge, by moving the bow faster. We've already established that we can't push the bow add more weight to the bow, but we can move the bow faster. And that means that we can get a very, very quiet sound further away from the bridge, but we can also inflect that by making it slightly louder. So if I start with a slow bow and then speed the bow up and then slow it down, you'll hear that even though I'm far away from the bridge, I can still get loud and soft. Now I'm not applying any more weight across the bow stroke. I'm simply speeding up and slowing down. So just the speed of the bow can have a dramatic impact on the dynamic level. In the middle of the string, so the sort of area between the bridge and the fingerboard where we normally play, you can actually employ both weight and speed at the same time, depending on the sound that you want. So I can play with a slow bow and not much weight and still get a good sound, but a quiet one. Now the sound is fuller and more intense than it is really far away from the bridge, but it is nevertheless quiet. Conversely, if I use a greater bow speed and a bit more weight, I can get quite a loud sound. And again, that's not as loud as it is if you play near the bridge, but it's a more open and less intense sound. And so something that you might want to use just for general phrasing. So you could look at it this way: the sound and tone colour that you get at the bridge and closer to the fingerboard are two sort of special effects that you can use in more extreme circumstances when you really want to bring out a particular affect. In the middle, then we have more options, and we can have an extreme, to a lesser extent, an extreme of both loud and quiet. So going back to my teacher's advice, we can really make a lot of use of really very quiet sounds, either far from the bridge or in the sort of middle third of the string. By moving the bow very slowly and not using too much weight. And a good way to practice this is by playing scales. Very boring, but there it is. You can practice increasing the bow speed and the arm and finger weight to crescendo through a scale. We also use this in the messa voce bow stroke, which is one of the core string playing mechanics in the Baroque period. The messa voce stroke is the stroke that swells from quiet to loud in a single bow stroke. And again, this is achieved principally through bow speed, but also with some finger weight. So the idea is to start with a relatively slow bow, speed the bow up towards the middle, and then decelerate again towards the heel, or of course the other way around if you're doing a pull bow. So this is something really useful to practice, especially if you're playing Baroque music, but also in consort music. If you're trying to shape a phrase or even an individual note, the ability to swell the dynamic with bow speed is absolutely essential. At the end there, I used a very, very long bow, and in order to increase the intensity even more, I just moved the bow closer to the bridge. I allowed the bow to slide down the string to the bridge so that the middle of the bow stroke was particularly intense. And then I moved the bow away again and slowed it down at the other end of the bow stroke to create a diminuendo. One other element to consider in varying your dynamic is the ring finger. on your bow. Normally we have the bow resting on the string with the ring finger dangling sort of useless underneath the middle finger. However, you can actually use the ring finger, and in fact, Christopher Simpson talks about this in his viol treatise. If you want to play particularly forcefully with lots of articulation and lots of volume, you can join your ring finger and middle finger on the hair of the bow. I tend not to be able to get my ring finger as far through the hair as I can my middle finger, but it adds to the weight and control that you have on the hair. This is particularly useful if you're playing, for example, a series of big chords. There's a good example from Hume's Soldier's Resolution. Having an extra finger on the hair is really helpful for driving the hair into the strings when you want quite a dramatic and extreme effect. Conversely, you can use the ring finger to help with playing very quietly. And this is especially useful in long bows that you want to diminuendo, sort of al niente, into nothing. The method is to put your ring finger just underneath the hair so that you can use it to push up on the hair and therefore take some of the weight out of the string. I'm not talking about literally pushing the hair off the string entirely, but you can use the finger to just gently lift the pressure and the weight away from the string to create a dynamic, to create a diminuendo. So you can tie that in with a slowing of the bow to create a very, very, very quiet diminuendo. That's especially useful at the end of pieces, at the end of consort music especially. You often come across a situation where you want to really disappear into the ether with your fellow viol players, and that's a useful technique to have at your disposal. So don't just leave your ring finger dangling, ignored and useless. You can use it to good effect. That's the end of tutorial number 8. I hope you've found it useful. If you'd like to commission tutorials on a subject of your choice, then you can join my Patreon account. It's patreon.com/Sam Stadlen. And membership there grants you access to my ever-growing collection of Music -1 videos. These are videos of viol music where there are parts missing that you can fill in, and all the videos are available at 415 and 440 Hertz. So you should find something there that you can like. And membership allows you to commission either a new tutorial or a new Music -1 video every month. So if that's something you're interested in, I will put a link in the description box below this video. Please consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.